I'm going to just quickly, well, I say quickly, it's never quick, but I'm going to do the Patreon questions for January, since we're in February now. And I want to stay on top of them because I'm going to be going away. I'll just add as well, if you're new to the stream, because there's always first-time chatters. Basically, I do have a Patreon as well, where if you donate, I think it's like $10 or more, you get to ask a question every month, and I will do my best to answer it. There's a scale of contribution right the way through to $100, where I will create a bespoke piece of content. The most recent one that I did live on stream was talking about the legacy of Mike Tyson for about 2.5 hours. That was a request. I generally put a lot of effort into the $100 stuff. I am behind, of course, on them because I am a scumbag. But yeah, if you want to contribute there instead of subscribing on Twitch, you absolutely can. It's open for you, but you don't feel compelled to do it. Let's get into it then. Patron questions. Have I watched the Coffeezilla videos? And if so, what did I think of them? Do I see a possibility to get them on the RLS? I think I covered this one last time, actually, but I'll just elaborate a little bit more, because lots of people have been asking questions about the Coffeezilla videos. And look, I don't know what the next step will be for Coffeezilla, because he covers a lot, and he's kind of got himself in a good spot, because obviously the covering crypto scams and rug pulls and NFT bullshit, he's never, ever, ever going to run out of material. Like, just never going to run out of material. There will just always be a scam. And at the moment, there's this weird thing that's happening where everyone seems to be releasing shit coins, including Donald Trump himself. It's really fucked up, because obviously one of the ways Trump was able to win the election was he ingratiated himself over to all of the tech bro segment. And as we know, all of the crypto Web3 bullshit grift is, they're preserved. They were just about to move on from crypto, and then it was like, oh wait, okay, can we start just pumping crypto now? And it's kind of sad, because it's like, I've been looking at, for instance, on Twitter, and it's like, how many times have you had this DM? Hey boss, I'm working on a meme coin. You had that one yet? You had that 1,000 fucking times if you have a Twitter account. I get that probably about 4 or 5 times a day at the moment. Variations of that, probably all told, I get about like 20 DMs. And yeah, every celebrity seems to be releasing like a shit coin, and it's basically just a pump and dump. It's ultimately they release a coin that has some sort of attachment to them and their name. And basically, you, the fool, come along and buy it because you're enamored with that celebrity, and then they dump it all, and it's worthless. It's just literally a way. It's basically a Kickstarter for nothing. Like, you just give me money, and I leave you with a worthless fucking token that no one's gonna buy, and it's just a one-time cash injection by fleecing my audience. And a lot of celebrities are engaging in this at the moment. And obviously, like, we all know about the fucking Hawk Tour girl got embroiled in one. And I don't think she even knows a lot about crypto. I definitely think people were pulling her strings. But ultimately, if you're the face of something like that, you have to, first of all, protect your fans. And second of all, you have to know what people in your orbit are doing. I will say, I saw one of the harshest ever tweets, which was, obviously, the Hawk Tour girl. Somebody replied saying, you should put a Glork to your head, was what someone said, which wasn't very nice. But people obviously don't like fucking getting fleeced for their money, obviously. Anyway, back to Coffeezilla. He's never going to run out of that type of content. And he was, I don't want to say out of his element in the CS skins world, but it's not his, like, main domain. And he interviewed some people and asked some questions. And ultimately, I think probably in terms of a condemnation, maybe his video didn't go quite far enough. And I also get the impression he realized that, oh yes, there's a very scary criminal element, even in something as frivolous as skins. There are genuine bona fide nutcases out there that will do terrible things. And people get nervous about that. No one wants to be fucking doxxed. No one wants to be attacked. No one wants to, obviously. And so I don't know if he bumped up against some of that and then maybe he kept it like 95% or something, or whether it was just he didn't get anything that was like scorched earth. But certainly I hope he does more content around it, because ultimately what has been like Valve still haven't shut it all down. It's mind-blowing to me. Valve still haven't shut down all of this skins gambling bullshit, all of this, and it's like, look, it's so crazy that when we had the big wave that I was reporting about back in the day of all of the cease and desists, it looked like, okay, they were starting to understand it. Then we had the CSGO Empire drama. Now your esports events are being compromised because of this weird fucking sub-industry. You've surely now, and no, not even now, like, they should just be shutting it down forever. It should just be any website that offers any form of service off platform at all for skins, the sale of skins, the trading of skins, skins boxes, bot accounts, any form of gambling that uses skins as a currency equivalent to a casino chip. You should not only be shutting them down and revoking API access and everything. You should be taking them to court. You should be suing the fucking pants off them. It's explicitly against your terms. I mean, one of the things I'll credit Riot for, Riot are insanely litigious. They've sued multiple cheat coders, and if you care about that thing, that's a good thing for you. If you play League of Legends and you're big sad that a scripter's in your game and taking your rank away and now you're platinum, and it's like, well, Riot Games at least fucking go after the people that make the cheat. They sue them, and they don't just make them. They don't just make them turn off okay, we won't sell it anymore. They go, no, you owe us damages, homie. Like, you've damaged our product. And no judge, by the way, is ever going to go, well, the cheat coder was just experimenting and testing it out and testing the boundaries, and they're actually really talented. No. They just go, yeah, you explicitly violated their terms, you've denigrated their business, you did it for a fucking profit, you violated their copyright and technology, up your ass. And that's what you're going to get every time. And I've yet to see Valve do anything equivalent to that, and that would make a big impact in the world of skins gambling. The one thing I'll say about the Coffeezilla videos, people were like critiquing it, like oh yeah, but we know all this. And it's like, yeah, well, it's not aimed at you, is it? It's aimed at the normies. It's aimed at his audience. And so I hope, like, one of the things I'd like to see is, like, if Coffeezilla gets on Joe Rogan again or something, because obviously, he's a way bigger, content creator than me. If he got on Joe Rogan again or something, I'd like to see him talk about skins to someone like Joe. And so basically, it would then definitely permeate normie consciousness, and that might be a good thing, because I can only write so many letters to Ted Cruz. But anyway, I've always said to him he can. I would be up to collaborate and help him with further content. It's a given. I would do that. It would be good for me. It would be good for my brand. It would be good for my channel. So there would be some self-interest there. But I've always helped people that have tried to do investigative work around this. Like, for instance, when we got the Phantom Lord leak that showed he was working with Joris to rig his outcomes, we shared that with journalists. We said, you can have the whole thing. You can look at the original. You don't just have to reference my video. You can have the logs. I'll explain how we got them. You don't have to sit on that stuff. So, next question. What was a moment in 2024 that gave you some degree of hope for the future? That's an interesting question in the sense, do you mean for my future or the future of humanity? It's very interesting. Let's say the future of humanity. We had some good tech stuff in 24. I think we had some pretty good technology advancements in 2024. We're making some really good inroads in medicine, in the field of medicine. We've got an Alzheimer's medication that's super promising. That's going to be a boon for the elderly. We've got I don't want to say cures, but treatments that are super effective for Parkinson's as well. So all these degenerative diseases that come about through aging, that are super debilitating. We've got stuff for that. Cancer treatment's going pretty well. We're getting new cancer medications that show a lot of promise. Yeah, as El Gapo in the chat says, we've made huge strides in modifying the weather. We're not just relying on the space lasers now. We've got fog that turns people gay. We've got all sorts going on. But obviously that's a joke. I don't really mean that. And so on the medicine side of thing, we are poised that people are going to live longer and have a better quality of life the longer they live, which is like a really cool thing. If obviously if we fuck up the planet, then that's just bad because you're just in a bunker, like eating fucking rats. You don't have to be in a bunker to do that. You could be in Gateshead, but or as it turns out at the moment, Birmingham. So there's that. I think as well, like it's the kind of flip side to the Elon equation. He might be out there fucking styling and Zeke Island and doing like crazy fucking salutes and making a cunt of himself on Twitter. But the rocket technology, that stuff always fascinates me. And, seeing the rocket fucking get caught as it like came back into Earth, that was fucking... If you ever sit and watch those space launches, you go, okay. Because ultimately, we are going to be a star-faring nation, a star-faring species, I should say. I don't know what that would look like or what that means, because obviously, initially, let's say warp is theoretically impossible. Well, not theoretically impossible. Let's say it is impossible. Then, obviously, anyone that goes into the fucking great ships, the colonies, to go and go live on Mars and beyond, you're going to be in there a long time. You're going to be in there for years. That's just to get to Mars. Anywhere else, anywhere further out, it's suddenly going to get a bit fucking bleak. People who leave aren't going to make it. And so I think I love watching the development in kind of space technology. And listen, SpaceX, they're killing it. They're killing it right now. Obviously, they had that rocket that broke up, and people thought it was an alien invasion. But yeah, they're killing it right now. So yeah, I guess that gives me some hope. We can get off this fucking rock and go fuck up another rock, and we can live like the Expanse. Wouldn't that be great? Next question. How long do you think the Trump-Elon bromance will last, and how spectacular will the fallout of their inevitable breakup be? It's already held longer than I thought it would. The big test of the Elon-Trump bromance for me was how will the media thought, we can make them break up here. Because, right, a little bit of context. The media hate that Elon bought Twitter. And they hate that Twitter was then turned from being a Democrat regime apparatus to being a Trump MAGA apparatus. They hate it. They've never got over it. They're fuming about it still. And that's, again, one of the best things Elon's ever done, in my opinion, because you have to show dominant groups that you don't always get to dominate. There will be anomalies. You don't just seize control and hold on to it forever, particularly in cultural and digital spaces. And so ever since he's done that, they've been after Elon. I have no doubt if the Democrats won the last election, all of Elon's loans and grants from the government would have been cancelled. All of his businesses would have been investigated. He would have been fined by he would have been fined by everyone, the FEC, everyone, and probably imprisoned. I have no doubt about that. That was the way it was going. All of the run-up to the fucking election, everyone was saying Elon Musk was a danger to democracy because he was all in for Trump. And by the way, I don't like it when he's jumping around autistically behind Trump and making a twat of himself and everything that's happened now. And I mean, obviously, it's an oligarchy. It's still an oligarchy, even if you like the oligarchs. If you like Mark Cuban and George Soros, influence in your politics, but you don't like Musk doing it, then you're a hypocrite, and vice versa. Him having control of the single largest and most important social media, whatever you want to call it, fucking venue, social media company, it's that isn't good. That's broadly not a good thing. What could that information be used for? We already know Twitter has been infiltrated by the Chinese and Saudi Arabian governments, and they've used information they found there for nefarious purposes, including imprisoning their own people. Who knows what Elon's looking at For, he said a lot about how he wanted them DMs to be encrypted on Twitter. He hasn't done that yet. So, I mean, that's a worry now that he's so close to government. The screeching about Doge auditing the Treasury is ridiculous in and of its face. As I was saying this earlier on Discord, talking to the homies. The president is the head of the executive branch. The Treasury falls under the executive branch. It's constitutionally sound for the president to appoint somebody as an advisor or whatever to investigate the Treasury, to audit the Treasury. This is all above board. And people saying, but he doesn't even have security clearance. What's he looking at? Do you think maybe they gave him clearance? This motherfucker fires rockets off fucking mainland America. You don't think he has top secret security clearance? Of course he has a security clearance. So you can spot the morons based on that. By the way, it's a matter of record now that he does indeed. His clearance is the top secret level of clearance, by the way. That's been stated by members of Congress. So, he's not doing anything wrong if the president authorizes it in the executive branch. We can talk about, the legislative branch. What dominion does he have over that? Maybe not much. That will have to go and be voted on in Congress probably, and certainly the judicial branch are trying to stop him, but it's like minor members of the judicial branch trying to stop the head of the executive branch. It's just one of these messy aspects to politics. But anyway, what USAID and all these other things needed an elegant surgeon with a scalpel to go through and audit these things, and instead what we got was a monkey with a chainsaw. And so the chaos that's generated is obviously not good. But I'll say this, surgery still had to be performed, and the chainsaw is better than nothing. That's my opinion. I think the bloated bureaucracy in America is leeching taxpayers' money by design. And so I think ultimately what Musk is doing, and I'd rather it wasn't him, but what Musk is doing sort of has to be done if you do believe in Trump's mandate. Anyway, all of which is a roundabout way of saying the press hate him, hate anything he does. There's Musk derangement syndrome is the new derangement syndrome. He does a lot of things wrong, but the problem is, in the eyes of the people with the syndrome, he can do no right, and that is patently absurd. And it was the same thing with Trump. And so ultimately, they've tried to stoke division between these two narcissists, essentially, because billionaires generally are. And so when they were calling him President Musk over and over and over again, Democrats were doing this, the media was doing this. Obviously, the DNC, the Democratic Party, they'd come up with that as an idea to create friction. And I know that because it was uncritically repeated by every media outlet because they got the comm shop talking points. And so that was the test. That was when, if Trump was going to break rank with Musk anytime soon, it was going to be then. And because he was going to be, I'm the president, and I'm in charge, and anyone that says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. And that's when he would have, maybe rat-fucked Musk out. No, he's still out there saying Musk's a genius, Musk's going to help deliver, all this auditing. He wants him to do the fucking Pentagon next, which is going to be hilarious. If you think it's been fucking, incessant screeching now, where if he starts going after the fucking the industrial complex, then guess what? That you're going to see things that you will not believe with your own eyes, because what's going to end up happening is the legacy media that railed against Bush and the illegal wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are going to rail against someone auditing the Pentagon and potentially reducing military spending. They're going to rail against it, and it's not going to make any sense. Just saying. But so far, the alliance is going to hold, and the friction is likely to come towards the end of the term. Or ultimately, when Doge's work is done, which, how many things can you audit at the government? Probably lots, but ultimately, there's going to come a cutoff point. So we'll see, but so far, so good. Scouse J asks, since you've been fact-checked on slugs, are there any animal facts that you can share that you took you by surprise when you found out? Yeah, I talked about this last time, didn't I? I've done this one. This was the koala cubic poo, I think it was, or wombat cubic poo. But I'll give you another one. Let me see. I can give you one from my beekeeping. I didn't know this when I got into beekeeping. But, two things, two interesting bee facts. So the first thing is a bee can remember up to 3 miles, maybe more. As in, they fly out of the hive and they're looking and with their compound eyes and they see shit and they can remember it all. Like, they've got enough of a fucking brain to remember, oh, there's a bunch of flowers over there, or fucking food source over here, or whatever it might be. And also, the glue that they manufacture to make their hives is something called propolis. And propolis is a naturally occurring antiseptic, and they use it in brain surgery because it's better than using certain types of chemical, because the brain's less likely to reject something that's naturally occurring. So propolis is this fantastic boon. So another reason why, save the bees. And by the way, Scouse J, don't worry about the fact you had to end the Patreon due to financial issues. No one ever needs to apologise for that. Did I catch the Superman trailer? And if so, what did I think? Well, not going to lie, I didn't like the look of the new Superman trailer. Can't remember who I was arguing about it with. It might have been Maui Snake. But I said it looked bad. Oh, no, it was my mate, Sam. I didn't like it. It just looked a bit like... Meh. You see, the thing was, I remember the trailer for Man of Steel, and the trailer for Man of Steel was fantastic. If it had delivered on that and been that film, it would have been fantastic, but it didn't. And I think Henry Cavill was kind of done dirty overall. I think he was a good Superman. It's just Zack Snyder is a fucking talentless hack. So it's like, what can you do with that? I mean, if Henry Cavill should never have been replaced as Superman. I mean, listen, you want to change up the writers, fine, but like, you've got your guy. He looks the fucking part. His physique is amazing. I thought his demeanor was fantastic. I actually think he showed a lot more range than I would have associated him with in that role. It's just the script fucking sucked. What do you want? Why's Henry Cavill got a fucking tank? All the people go, Superman never kills anyone. Just because Zack Snyder wanted to have like fucking 45 minutes of disaster porn at the end of a fucking boring movie. It's not his fault. So they should have kept him in. And the new guy doesn't look good. He's more Clark Kent than Superman. And that's always the problem. The way you have to do Superman is you've got to downscale your Superman to your Clark Kent, not upscale your Clark Kent to a Superman, or it looks ridiculous. Henry Cavill's just a good fucking muscular actor, but also he understood the there was, like you say, there was range there was texture to his interpretation of Superman. You think about Christopher Reeves and how he did it. Christopher Reeves was very pure in his approach to Superman. It was more like the kind of classic era Superman from the comics. That's fine, but Henry Cavill was more like the modern era, where it's like, it's tough. He's the last surviving member of his species. He's on a planet. People are afraid of him. People are scared of him. There was this new element that kind of came in, after like kind of in that 9/11 era, where there was this inherent paranoia that went into modern comics, like Civil War for the X-Men and the Marvel Universe, and there was a little bit of that in Superman too, which was, of course, well, hang on, he has got all the powers of essentially a god to us. Can we trust him? What if he ever goes rogue? What if he does? That's where you get all the Batman stuff about how Batman has to have like a special plan for everyone in the Justice League. There's all this like, kind of like paranoia about, can these people be trusted coming in, because we saw a government abuse power after a terrorist attack. That's kind of the zeitgeist and how that changed. But I think Henry Cavill did a fantastic job as Superman, and I was very sad not to see him included. Again, the new guy doesn't look up to snuff. The bit with the dog in the trailer, this is where I argued with my mate Sam quite a bit about it. He says, listen, that's perfectly in line with a James Gunn interpretation of the comics, but I don't want Guardians of the Galaxy with Superman and a talking dog in it. I don't want that. I want Superman to be something distinct and different. Now, James Gunn's really talented, and he's not had a lot of misses, so, whatever. It'll probably be better than the trailer look, but the trailer made my arse pucker. It was like, oh, this doesn't look good. This might be the fall from grace. We're kind of due one. So we'll see. But yeah, it didn't look great to me. It's Jerky. Ahoy. Why is it that everything Kim Kardashian does seems to be glorified, while the reason she got famous in the first place seems to have been memory holed by people? I don't know. Probably some sort of overarching positivity about people that do that sort of thing. I think first of all, you have to understand there's games afoot because they're from a very famous legacy family that's had like generations of people in the entertainment industry. That's point number one. I think point number two, we've always been enamored with like fucking vacuous, empty-headed celebrity families that appear to be famous just for the sake of being famous. You know, they're famous because they're beautiful, they're famous because they're rich, and therefore you can point a camera at them and they'll say silly things. They're it girls was a term that nobody uses anymore because it's been deemed to be a bit misogynistic. You know, we've always had them. They're just celebrities, you know, like just celebrities that don't really have tangible talents. You know what I mean? And she's definitely one of them. I wouldn't say the Kardashians are like some fantastically talented family. I'm not a maniac, you know, but ultimately I get why some people, some vacuous ninnies, could have an infatuation for these types of people, and it's always held true. So it's like, I don't know, they're a symptom of a broader problem rather than a disease. But yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, I mean, put it this way. Like, this is just a mental thing to say out loud, but back in the LimeWire days, so we're already off to a good start. Back in the LimeWire days, come along with me, internet boomers. We go back to the LimeWire days. Back in the LimeWire days, I saw Paris Hilton give what might be one of the worst blowjobs ever caught on fucking camera. Like, you know, and, you know, she was famous after that, and nobody ever brought that up, really. The sex tape seemed to have made her famous, and she was doing MTV programs. She's a moron, you know, an absolute moron. Like, no discernible talent whatsoever, not an original idea in her head. Everything she said was wrong and ridiculous. She hated poor people and could barely disguise it. She can't even give head. So where are we at? But she's famous, you know, like, go figure, you know? Yeah, and Pam and Tommy, you know, if you want to go back even more, like, you know, like, just crazy. So just saying, you know, it's a tale as old as time itself, you know. It's probably someone on a cave painting somewhere, like, eating ass on a fucking, in a cave painting. And they're like, you know, them ass eater. You know, it's just, we're just fucking ridiculous, aren't we? We're just a ridiculous species. Next up, Peppermint says, with Trump having his second and final term. I love that. I love how you have to stipulate with Trump. It's your final term, sir. Is there hope that the election cycle in 24 and 28 are more normal, or will it still be the same shit show? And as a follow-up, do you think American politics would have already returned to normal if Trump would have won in 2020? Oh, no. American politics has never been normal, if by normal you mean like the rest of the world's politics. It's the world's biggest banana republic, but what makes it different from a banana republic? In most banana republics, there's not this infatuated media apparatus around it. It's not really enamored with celebrity. The typical banana republic has a charismatic, strong man who goes out, lies to the people in public. Everyone goes, oh, wow, he's such a great orator. Right? What a great talker. And then what he does is, clandestinely, he has a bunch of fucking henchmen go around, bully, intimidate, and murder any political opposition. So by the time the next free and fair election comes around, hey, I won in a landslide again. You know, like Mugabe used to do this. You know, Mugabe used to fucking, he wasn't above going to villages and towns and just having a goon squad, just fucking, like, they used to just put people in barrels of water, just fucking half drown them and go, right, who you voting for? Okay, cool, don't make us come back. I've won in a landslide. So that's kind of how a banana republic works. In America, it's totally different because it really is a popularity contest in the most traditional sense of who is charismatic and willing to say things that the electorate like. And because of that, the media has this disproportionate influence over it. And again, I was just saying this on Discord, we crossed the Rubicon. There is no going back. You can't uncross the Rubicon. Like, you've done it, you know, and we're ever since 2012. 2012 was the turning point for me, but I'm probably only saying that because that's when I was like really heavily, I mean, beyond heavily really into this shit. You know, in 2012, I was already a columnist, you know, and I'd started in esports by then, obviously. But, you know, I already was like 6-7 years deep. But I was still writing regularly about politics, and the Obama-Romney campaign is mental. It's mental. Yeah, I was just showing this to someone today. People say things like, "Oh, I wish we could go back to the good old days," and it's like 2012. Remember how civilized that campaign was? And it's like, yeah, you weren't there. You weren't there, or you've had a bump on the head since then. Because let me just show you the level of discourse that was going around at that time. And this is what they did. Now, remember, you all know Mitt Romney, right, is a principled Republican. You know how they said that because he used to vote against Trump, and all the media came out and said, "Oh, Mitt Romney's a principled Republican, a lifetime of public service." What have I told you? Back in 2012, when he ran against Obama, and there was a chance he might win, he was Hitler. He was a racist. He was a sexist. Remember, it was Biden said Romney was going to put black people in chains, by the way. But also there was a campaign where the media basically said he was a murderer. He'd killed a woman, right? And I'll show you. This is from 2012. Mitt Romney basically killed a woman. right. This is such an outrageous article. That's the headline. And basically, it was a super PAC ran an advert that it was basically because of Mitt Romney's stance on healthcare. This woman had died from like not being able to get her cancer treatment. And the media, it's everywhere. Just look it up. Mitt Romney, type it in Google. Do your own exercise. Mitt Romney killed a woman. Mitt Romney a murderer. Type that in. Type in binders full of women. That was another thing. They were like, "Sir, you're a Mormon and a religious freak." They attacked him on religious grounds as well. You're a Mormon and a religious freak. So how do we know you're going to be able to treat women correctly? And how many women will be in your cabinet? And how will you select them? And he said, "Oh, I'm looking at candidates already. Should I win? I've got binders full of women." And the media went, "Oh, look, he keeps pictures of women in binders, does he? He's looking at binders of women." Sir, are you aware of how misogynist? Are you aware of how misogynistic that sounds? That you just keep these files of women in binders and you look at them and you don't actually talk to the women and you don't engage. He had to deal with that. That was a whole news cycle because he said he had binders full of women. That was actually the quote. So look, as I said, the Rubicon was crossed, man. And now you got social media on top of media. So, no, there is no normal ever again. We're never, ever, ever going back. And that, for me, was the sea change. I watched a complicit media so desperate to get Obama over the line of what might have been an iffy election, an iffy second term. I saw them so desperate to get him over the line that they attacked somebody and said patently false things about a guy that prior to getting the Republican nomination, they were like, "It would be great if a moderate Republican like Mitt Romney could win the nomination for a change. Then things wouldn't be so bad." And then he got the nomination, and everyone was like, "Right, well, time to say Mitt Romney's Hitler, guys." It's like, what the fuck? I literally watched it in real time. I was like, wait, you said it was good he got the nomination last week. You know, they're like, they did a similar thing with Trump, you know. "Oh, I hope Trump gets it. We can't lose to Trump." And it was like, they're all having him on. "So you're really going to run? You're really going to run? You're really going to run? Ooh, can I rub your hair?" Gets the nomination. Hitler, guys. Fascist. Dangerous fascist. He's a racist. Any evidence? No, but I mean, like, obvious. Yeah? I mean, duh. A bit more than that? No. So, we're never going back. We're never going back. We've hit a point, by the way, that I didn't think we ever would hit, and that is that it's actually more absurd than Transmetropolitan, which is like kind of fucking hard to imagine, but we're there for sure. And then to your second point, is there a hope that the election cycle in 24 is going to be more normal? Well, no, because who's the Republican nominee in 24 going to be? 28 going to be. Let's assume that it's going to be Vance or DeSantis or a ticket thereof both. Now, obviously, what's really going to happen is Donald Trump is going to... it's starting with an audit, but he's obviously going to fire all the government, fire all of Congress, put anyone who disagrees against him in a camp, and he's going to install himself as a god emperor, and he's never leaving. He's just there for the rest of his life, which, by the way, even though he's a 78, nearly 79-year-old obese man with plaque on his heart, according to his own released medical practitioner in records, he's going to live forever. He's going to live to 100, and we're just, in the next 20 years, we're just going to be living under God Emperor Trump. But let's assume that doesn't happen. It's going to be DeSantis and J.D. Vance are probably the Republican frontrunners in 28. Well, what do you think they're going to do? They've already written articles in the media, by the way, why Ron DeSantis is more dangerous than Donald Trump. And remember, Donald Trump was Hitler. And this is the problem. Whenever you make the Republican Hitler, you can't keep saying Hitler. There had to be one Hitler. You know, you had to pick a Hitler. It needed to be Bush or something. Bush was easily the most totalitarian, fascist president they've ever had. He was worse than Nixon. He did unconscionable, unspeakable things and abused the presidency like nothing I've ever seen, and even rigged elections. Bush was basically everything they say Trump is, and yet they wheel Bush out. I'm painting, and they just wheel him out, and that's fine. So yes, they can't just say, whew, well, Trump's gone, and here's his protege, J.D. Vance. Well, at least it's not Trump, eh? Let's have a nice, fair election with no rat fuckery, and may the best man win. They can't say that. Democrats got to get back in power straight away. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to, I mean, first of all, they've already got that document that got leaked. You can go read it if you want. Ken Klippenstein published it. He got banned from Twitter for it because it had J.D. Vance's social security number and home address in it. But there was a dossier that got leaked by Iran. During the election cycle, the Iranian hackers totally hacked J.D. Vance, managed to find the dossier of intelligence that was compiled by the Republican Party and leak it to the public. It was totally Iran, guys. Definitely not the fucking CIA. And I've read it. It's like 140 pages or something. Small print. I downloaded it and read it. It's obviously got like some very unflattering things in there about J.D. Vance and things he said and things he's done, social media posts and opinions he's held, stuff he said at speeches, things that you could use if you wanted to leverage him, etc. There's nothing that the media are unaware of. So what do you do now? How do you smear him now when he runs in 28? How do you do it? Well, it's got to be Hitler again. We got to have a Hitler run back. We got to manufacture some racism, which is really hard because obviously he's in a his kids are dual heritage, right? His wife's of Indian descent, so that's hard, right? But you're gonna have to work race. He's got to be a white supremacist somehow. So they're gonna have to leverage something in like that. I mean, also on top of that, how hard the media go is going to be dictated by who the fucking Democratic candidate is in 28. And I am sick of hearing like James Carville and all these other motherfuckers saying, our bench is so strong. Our bench is so strong. Like, who is it? Who's your guy then? Newsom literally just watched his aspirations go up in smoke because of the handling of the fucking LA fire. He's gone. He can't run in 28 and win. Think of the memes. Think of you can't even run a state, let alone the country. Newsom could have if Newsom had been instead of Kamala, and instead of Biden, he's probably president right now. If Biden had said, I'm a one-term president because I'm old and my brain don't work, is that you, Bo? If they'd just done that and then ran primaries, Newsom probably would have got the nomination and he's probably president now, right? But they didn't do that. They're the party of selection, not election, and so they fucking didn't. And they married them. And also, because of all their fucking diversity and inclusion initiatives, they can't then skip over the black woman. You can't do that. They said when Biden was president, it's a matter of record. Biden said, I am committed to bringing in a black woman as my running mate. Some people thought it might be Stacey Abrams from Georgia. It was Kamala Harris in the end. And he was committed to that. So she was selected on that basis. And then, if you then skip her for the presidency, racist much? So no, they were locked in. They had to go with Kamala, and they did, and she was terrible. I mean, like, she's a terrible candidate. But more than a terrible candidate, their party, I mean, this election is a total repudiation of all the nonsense they've been pushing. I mean, do you want to know what Donald Trump's most popular executive order is by vote? I think you'll be surprised, because he signed about 3,000 of them in the first, 2 weeks. His most popular executive order, according to CNN, who did a breathless and gushy coverage of it, it's the executive order banning, quote, men from, quote, women's sports. 79% of the country support that. And then, when you realise, when we looked at the exit polls, and the third most important issue in the country was what they said, social justice and culture war issues, i.e. meaning the trans in sports non-issue. It's not like we're talking about a tiny fraction of the population, and even tinier fraction of that going into an even tinier fraction. It's so crazy, and yet 79% of the people support that because of just how ubiquitous it was on social media. But here's the problem. It's not just because, Fox are saying, they're transing the kids, and they're putting trans people in sports, and Fallon Fox is coming to bash your daughter's head in. They're not just saying that. It's the other way around. It's that, well, if you have any questions about this, you're a bigot, you're a scumbag. If you want to say, hey, should we take a look at it and maybe do what the UK's done, you're a scumbag. Or look at what UK rugby did. Or you're a scumbag. You're an evil scumbag. You're a hateful, evil scumbag. Well, that's not a winning message, guys. Hate to break it to you. And so you didn't even think it was important to just call people hateful, evil scumbags. And then look at this. Look at the numbers. Turned out people actually gave a shit about that. I don't know why, but they did. So there you go. And yeah, we're talking about less than 20 athletes by the last count, according to the NCAA. And yet that issue is 79% of the country supported. So, Democrat Party's got to have a fucking, you got to lie down, put a thermometer in your mouth, like in a cartoon, and go, okay, I guess we're fucked. I guess we're having hot flushes or something. We need to rethink our messaging because it's not winning. So, rightly or wrongly, if you want to win elections, you've got to find a message that the electorate support. Simple as that. Anyway. So, in 28, who are the Dems going to run? Who do you think it's going to be? I don't think Newsom can win a primary. Kamala, she'll have a go again, but she's not winning a primary. She'll be advised not to run. Buttigieg will run, But here's the thing. The likely winner is going to be some meme like Michelle Obama or John Stewart. It's going to be, they're going to go, they're going to go, it's going to be them that go the populist route. AOC will definitely have a run, but it won't be in 28. Save that one. 32. See you then on the stream. But I mean, this deep bench, there is a chance that some, like Obama, some charismatic Democrat comes out of nowhere, has some national news stories, gets on the right topics, builds their profile, and suddenly they're at the heart of politics. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy's kind of like that for the Republican Party. You didn't know who the fuck he was before this election cycle, did you? Of course you didn't. Now he's going to run in Ohio. So, mission accomplished for him. So, no, the 28 is going to be more of the same by design. And Ron DeSantis is going to be a dangerous racist who killed people during COVID. And J.D. Vance is a fucking racist hillbilly who hates women and women's rights. They'll have to probably attack him on the abortion thing. They'll probably still be talking about Project 2025 in 2028. So it's just going to be that. That's all they have. I mean, ultimately, that's the mechanism now. And the media are so fucking pissed off about this total cultural shift that's occurred where people are just like, it doesn't work anymore. By the way, they found that Doge kid, one of the Doge kids, the oldest Doge kid, he's 25, he's a kid to me, but, they found him, he's said a bunch of racist stuff, including, quote, normalize Indian hate. Pretty straightforward, pretty racist. And they fired him. They fired him because the Wall Street Journal did a hit piece on it, right? And J.D. Vance came out and said, I'm not sure I want to live in a world, actually, where the media can just dictate whether people have jobs based on silly memes and stuff they post. And I think he should be rehired. And then the media went, do you think that, Donald Trump? And Trump went, yeah, I'm with J.D. Vance, actually. Been rehired. It's the quickest. I've never seen a cancellation turned around like that. The media are furious. They're furious. That was their last weapon. They were like, well, look, we've lost Twitter. We've lost power. We don't have the political party anymore. Cancellation will always work. Let's go after these Doge kids. I mean, by the way, what they've done to these Doge kids is fucking disgusting. And if you co-sign it, fuck you. You know, like, they've literally done all of this stuff where, like, they've done hit pieces on 19-year-olds, like, outing who they are, naming names, naming where they live, and saying, oh, this 19-year-old autistic genius with an IQ of 180, he's not fit to audit the government, but signed by some editor at Mashable whose biggest achievement is owning a cat. And all the subreddits are calling them the Doge henchman. They're calling for Luigi, the Luigi memes. One of these kids is going to get hurt. And I saw two journalists on a podcast. This is becoming to the belly of the beast. I saw two journalists on a podcast today saying the police should be threatening them, the politicians should be threatening them, the kids, the teenagers, auditing the government, saying they're going to arrest them, what they're doing is illegal, they're going to go to their homes, do all these things. It's like, okay, well, when one of them gets hurt, you're going to put your hands up. No, what they'll do is they'll do what they did with the Trump assassination attempt and go, oh man, we're so glad Hitler's still alive. It just gives the game away every single time. So, you know, no, it's not going to be normal. It's going to be very abnormal. And American politics I'll be dead before it's recovered from the deeply stupid things that happened during the Trump years. First sock. Oh no, wait, it's just the first. If you could remake one video game with an infinite budget and a modern, fully staffed developer team with the best developers in the world, what would you pick and why? Well, obviously, there's always Jagged Alliance 2, but they did make Jagged Alliance 3, and Jagged Alliance 3 is actually okay, so that's fine. It's good enough. I'm all right with it. But Jagged Alliance 2 would be definitely my choice. Maybe Elite 2 Frontier, because the new Elite, whatever it's called, Elite Dangerous or whatever, is shit. And I played it for like a week, and I just hated it. It's just not good. It's not a good game, and it should be. It's a disgrace that it isn't good. So, I don't know. Hipster picks. Go on then. None of you know about Mike Singleton's Lords of Midnight, do you? You don't know about that. Or Doomdark's Revenge, the sequel. You don't know about that. That game was essentially a rip-off of Lord of the Rings. It's about an evil overlord that comes into the world and takes over it. And the only way, there's two ways to stop him. You can do it by military might, but the Free Alliance is at a massive disadvantage. Or you can do it by taking some sort of magical item and destroying it in a faraway mountain. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Anyway, it was pioneering for its time. It's like fake 3D, isometric, you know, you look around, you have to do things on a time frame, kind of like, you know, what they call in the remake the Urquan Masters, and you go and you basically you've got two choices. You can be out there recruiting the military dudes, and each lord has X amount of soldiers. You have to fight battles, or you can go all in and hope the dudes can like pick up some magic items and get to the place safely without getting cornered and killed. And they do look like hobbits, by the way. Anyway, it was an unbelievable game. I remember when I was a kid, I fucking took a box, a cardboard box, and I printed out the map from like fucking whatever Spectrum games magazine it was in. I used to lay it out. I used to play this game over and over and over again to think if there was a way to win. I only ever won by ruining the item one time. I only ever beat it once, but I could never win by military might. I used to be obsessed about how there has to be a way to win by military might. There has to be a way to win. Like, if I fight a battle here at this time, and where should I go first? And maybe I shouldn't recruit that dude. Maybe that's a red herring. Maybe recruiting Lord Blood. Maybe making a rush to recruit Lord Blood here and now is a bad idea, and I shouldn't invest the resources into it. I used to go back and forth on it for ages. And it was just such a great game. And then they knocked it up a notch with Doomdark's Revenge. Different races. You know, you only had the elves and the humans before. You get dwarves and trolls and other stuff in this. So yeah, maybe that. Darklands from Fungaroo is a great shout. That game is fucking awesome. I saw something that was kind of like a little bit of a spiritual successor to that. It's not really, but it is worth mentioning just in case you guys get an opportunity to play it. Felvidek. It's like some weird fucking 15th century Slovakian JRPG, and you play an alcoholic knight. So check that out if you haven't played it already. It's a lot of fun. Someone in the chat's just come in and said, "Can you tell me that Nip will be good in a short period?" No, I can't, unfortunately. I think they've got the best roster they've had in a long time, if that helps. Take that to bed. So yeah, it would be that, probably. Laser Squad was good. I mean, I love all that turn-based strategy shit. They remade the ultimate game, Chaos. Julian Gollop remade that for PC about 10 years ago. So I can't even say that anymore, because he did remake it. And they remade the original UFO in the form of Xenonauts and Xenonauts 2. So, I mean, all the classics are kind of been done. But Doom Dark's Revenge never got touched, really. They even remade A Bard's Tale. If you can fucking believe that. There's even modern updates of A Bard's Tale. These were all the great games I grew up with. You can probably date me from that. Now it's first off. What members of the talent pool could get a yard in the NFL? Fucking hell, that's a tough one. A yard. As in, I imagine by running. Okay, couple of good shouts for this. Maui, small. He's a short king. Low center of gravity. And he's surprisingly stocky. He's bigger than he looks. He's stronger than he looks. So he's like got that, like, you know, could definitely do it. All the people saying pimp don't know anything about American football. Pimp would get absolutely fucking munched. It would have to be the most, like, the best read ever on defense. But, like, nah, Pimp would not. Like, Pimp can't stiff arm anyone, can he? Like, definitely not Pimp. Maui could get a yard, for sure. Who else? Dinko's a strong motherfucker, you know, and he's tall, but he's not really built for that, I guess, because he's hard to get low. I mean, he's more like a rugby winger in that sense. But Dinko's a strong fucker. He's a strong little fucker. The rest of the guys, you see, it's like they're not strong. They're just fit. You know, they're just good. Like Yanko is strong, obviously, but like not strong. Is he NFL strong? He'll hate the fact I haven't said him because he's a big NFL fan. But I don't know. I like Yanko is more. I know, like Yanko's, I think, is probably more of a like defensive player. You know, he could definitely play a game of NFL, but like be a running back and get a yard in an NFL, I don't know. Just to show you what happens when one of the big boys get. By the way, right, like people have said to me, "Oh, Richard, you're so fat. You know, you must be over 300 pounds and everything." And it's like, you know what? Fucking 300 pounds looks like, guys. Like this is 353 pounds. Like look at the fucking size of that cunt. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm probably an O-line player. I used to play flanker in rugby, so it's kind of like similar shit. But yeah, look at that. Look at the fucking size. The U2 Beaver Hunters. Jesus Christ. Against the Marty Cox. What a fucking state. What a state. What a fucking state of the fucking league that is, where those are your team names. So yeah, I think that answered the questions. Do I have a favourite voice actor? I mean, I'm gonna pick all the normie hipster shit because, like, I mean, it really, put it this way, it's so hard to look past Troy Baker at the moment, man. Like, what he did with the Indiana Jones game was just so fucking, like, next level. Like, you could close your eyes and think you are actually listening to Harrison Ford. I mean, even Harrison Ford now, Harrison Ford keeps praising him, like, every time he goes out there. Like Troy Baker is, like, considered, like, an arrogant asshole. Like loads of people have, you know, pointed to like interviews because, you know, look, it's a craft he loves. Obviously, you're going to be pretentious about it. It's like I always remember. Is it the guy who played? It might be the guy who played Arthur Morgan actually did this. There was this one thing where it was like, you know, they were he was at a con and there's a clip of him doing it and they say, "Oh, you know, you're a voice actor." And he's like, "No, we don't like to be called voice actors." What he used some other term like we're performance capture artists or something is what he said. And it's like because, you know, we don't just do the voices, we have to do all of the, you know, physical aspects of it as well. You know, and so obviously that's like deceptively physical. He said a lot of the work was really tiring. And he said there was like some days where they had to do the crouch walking in the game and he was just doing that all day. And he said his core was fucked. And you're like, oh yeah, doing that all day would be actually really physically demanding. So I think, you know, like I get it, not wanting to be diminished to just and reduced to just being a voice actor. Obviously, John DiMaggio is a great shout as well. He's like done so many good fucking roles, and has obviously done just animated roles as well. Although I will say I don't know I never vibed with his Joker, if I'm being honest. He had another one on the joke. It's very hard after Mark Hamill. It's like, like it's a big drop off. But I never really vibed with John DiMaggio. And Keith David is a fucking great voice actor, but he's just a great actor. He's just a really underappreciated dude, isn't he? Like Keith David, obviously. Everyone, whenever he gets brought up, everyone always brings up like the John Carpenter movies and stuff. Bro, he killed it in Pitch Black. Mandalore just dropped his fucking. I was just thinking about that last night because Mandalore just dropped his fucking Chronicles of Riddick game review, and I was like, oh yeah, fucking Keith David's in fucking Pitch Black. He plays the Muslim, the traveling intergalactic Muslim dude. So I mean, look, they're all good. It's just like Troy absolutely killed Indiana Jones. Like, but that game would have sucked if it didn't authentically feel like indie. Because my controversial take on the Indiana Jones game is, it kind of shows a little bit how like formulaic those types of games have got. It's not really that much better than a standard Ubi slop game. It's got a level of care and attention that Ubi slop games don't have. It's like, yeah, I'm still like, collect all these statues, collect 50 of them to unlock this. I'm still doing that stuff, but I'm doing it with motherfucking real Indiana Jones. The cutscenes are fucking fantastic. The acting's fucking fantastic. The story's actually really fucking solid, the main storyline on it. And it's like, you just don't get you just don't get that level of attention in the Ubi slop games. Like, even the ones that are critically acclaimed are kind of garbage. Like the fucking, So I think Troy Baker's done a great job. He's literally done two of like my favorite voice performances in games, like actual up there with Arthur Morgan, levels. Last of Us. I mean, Joel is just a insanely fleshed out, incredible creation, and the range of acting required for that character in the game to go from like violent aggressor, threatening presence to vulnerable, broken father, stuck in deep mourning. That's like, it's Oscar level acting. It's Oscar level acting, and it's just a dude in a video game. So I was like, it was always going to be hard for me to ever sort of denounce Troy, no matter what he says or does, no matter how pretentious he gets, no matter how far up his arse he disappears, even if he hits Fred Durst levels of pretentiousness, I'm always going to vouch for him, because like his Indiana Jones performance and that. Like, and Joel are just like, they're just levels above everything else in the industry. You know what I mean? Yep, I'll tolerate Durst levels. I'll tolerate if Troy Baker comes out at a convention with the Troy Baker dancers all dressed like him. I'm gonna allow it. Simple as that. He's earned it in my eyes. Right, next. Watch. Jaden asks, what's your favourite tree and why? By the way, someone has replied to this already saying round trees, meaning the sweets, which is funny. What's your favourite tree and why? Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one. Trees. I don't really know a lot about. This is the kind of thing that little nerdy kid Rich would have known about. I used to love nature and science before I grew out of that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I was fucking trying to think. Trees. Not pine. Fuck pine trees. Yeah, you see, oak is like such a cliche though. People will think I'm projecting something about myself, like I'm doing a strongman thing, like, yeah, not pine. I mean, I'll say this. When I was in Japan, you don't realize how breathtakingly stunning those, like, cherry blossoms and all the other trees that they have indigenous to Japan. You don't realize how good they are until you actually see them. You've seen them in paintings, you've seen them in pictures. When you actually see one in person, you see their character on the wood and the beauty of the flowers and the blossoms. They're fucking insane. They're insane to see in person. But you can't really say that. It's a pussy pick, isn't it? So I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with that. Redwood. There you go. Built America. It built America. The redwood tree. Strong redwood. So, but yeah, man. A lot of beauty out there. You got to take time to appreciate it. Tasty. Last question. Hey, Rich. Just wondering if you've heard about the ICE agent paranoia that's happening on some college campuses in the US right now. My college has set up a whole protocol if an ICE agent shows up, and they are even offering legal counsel. Wanted to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, look, God, I'm going to end sounding fashy, I guess. Lost a lot of followers on YouTube, unsurprisingly, after putting up the Musk video. Been in the comments. There's a You Speak Your Brains coming very soon. Been in there, just saying to people, they're going, oh, he's sending everyone to Guantanamo Bay. He's like, no, he's using the Guantanamo Bay building as a temporary holding facility for the most violent detainees while they're being processed into being sent away. And by the way, if you've seen what the average detention centre looks like now for border crossers, that's actually an improvement. And then somebody replied with, yeah, but they're going to torture them there because that's what you do in Guantanamo. Oh, fuck me, I just can't. Why do we have to make things up? You can make an argument that it's just abhorrent to put people, to incarcerate people as part of the process of deporting them. You know what? I don't really feel that way. I think if you enter a country illegally, keyword being illegally, then you've got to go. You just got to go. I'm sorry. I'm old-fashioned, I guess. I don't just think you just get to fucking skip the border with no papers. No one knows who the fuck you are, what you're doing there. It just doesn't seem viable to me in the times in which we live. So, and I know that makes you sound right wing or conservative or something. It's I would never dream of entering another country illegally. Do you know what I mean? It's in my line of work, it's I can only be in Europe so many days. I have to count the days and make sure and check the stamps. We all have to do this stuff. I do it. I don't just roll the fucking dice on it and say, oh, fuck you, fuck your laws. It's it's the price of, a global society. It's one of the things you have to do. So yeah, the ICE stuff, first of all, I never fucked with sanctuary cities. I think I would have, if I'd have been president, I would have said, right, well, if you ran a sanctuary city and you defied government orders about, deporting people or rounding them up or working with ICE. I mean, sanctuary cities, to be fair, were just we refuse to work in conjunction with ICE if they do come for the purposes of rounding up and deporting people. That was ultimately all it was. But, when you send that message out into the world and people hear it, they go, oh, if I go to this city, I'm safe. And it's definitely had a negative impact on the lives of the people that live there. When you get mass injections of people coming in and overusing resources and what have you. So I would have arrested all of those people. So I don't know, maybe I am a fascist. I would have absolutely said, if you don't want to comply with the law, then fine. We've got ways of dealing with that, and you will be charged. You will be charged. I mean, you'll certainly be removed from office. I mean, at the very least, right? You've pledged an oath to uphold these laws of the land. You don't have to you don't have to agree with them. You just have to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you just leave. It's by the way, I'm very consistent in this. I hate, when you see all these exemptions for doctors and pharmacists, and they say, a pharmacist, I don't want to give somebody the pill, or I don't want to give a gay man a condom, so I'm not going to do it, and it's part of my... Fuck you, get another job then, dickhead. You don't want to do those things, don't take that fucking job, you fucking cunt. I don't give a fuck what you feel about it. That person needs that service, you work in that role, so fucking give it to them. That's the fucking job. Just fucking, your thoughts don't enter into the equation. I need this, put it in the bag and fucking give it to me and fuck off, and you can whine about it in your spare time. So I am consistent in this stuff. I don't want you to think it's just that, if you do something, you do it properly, you do it right, and you do it by the rules. And if you don't want to do that, you don't subvert the job that you do to make your point. You quit the job and you go and do something else. And so I felt that way about a lot of this sanctuary city bullshit. And I feel this way now with this kind of performative stuff that's going on with the ICE detentions. You might think it's abhorrent. I think not all cases are equal when it comes to deportation. I think deporting someone that has lived in America for 20, 30 years and they put down roots, maybe even like got social security numbers and all this other stuff, and maybe family, birthright family now as well, because Trump cannot abolish birthright citizenship no matter how many executive orders he signed. It's in the Constitution. It's been agreed upon by multiple constitutional scholars in the Supreme Court. I are not going to sign off on it, because to do so would be to deny almost everything we know about that particular rule in the 14th Amendment. But anyway, it's like crazy to deport that person. That person should be given amnesty. The guy you got here last week, nah, fuck you. You can go back. Like, you can go back. I don't even care. Like, yeah. So, when these like universities, because we know how fucking ideologically captured academia is, we know when these universities are doing that. Oh, watch out for the ICE agent. It's not going to actually affect any of the students, is it? Students have had to go through like rigorous checks, balances. You have to sign up, get your payments. But there's not going to be a high percentage of like illegal immigrants in academia, is there? No ICE agent is coming to like a student. Like, yep. But what they're saying is, if they have to come onto campus for any reason, we're going to do this. It just seems stupid. It seems totally performative and impractical. And it's just a way to make the fucking wokies, or whatever they're calling them now, the students, feel like they're actively resisting. Because if you're not resisting, are you even alive? Are you even a person? How could you not resist? How could you be complicit? But as I said on the episode of The Belly of the Beast that I recorded about this, I watched those first deportations. I watched them. I was like, Fox did a ride-along. It was a wet dream for Fox. You can imagine Fox News fucking loving this stuff. And they went and they did a ride-along, and they got the best fucking footage ever. It was like some guy, and he was like a gang member from fucking Haiti or something that had gone there, and he was wanted for like a murder or an attempted murder, and he'd fled, and he'd committed crimes here as well, in America as well. And they did like a ride along. Fox got this guy. The ICE got this guy while the Fox journalist was there, and he was going, "You ain't deporting me, bro. You ain't sending me back. Fuck Trump. Joe Biden forever, bro. Joe Biden forever. I love Obama. I love what Obama did for me." And I'm like, wow, Fox are just like, fucking keep rolling. This is fucking gold. Keep rolling. Like, it is just like everything a Fox News producer. Like, the Fox News producer had to have a cigarette after that clip. Like, oh, fucking God. Just proves everything. Yeah, it's like, it was one of those clips where it was like, I was like, that has to be fake. There's no way. They've said, look, you're going back, but if we give you $50, will you thank Obama on the way out? Like, it's mental. Just so mental a clip, like. And anyway, I was watching that, and then I looked into who the dude was and what he'd done, and I'm like, that's good. It's kind of good, yeah. Kind of good he went back. kind of seems like a piece of shit. Cool. All right, well, one less piece of shit. More of that. And then it was like, when you looked into who they were arresting and where they were going and what the arrests were for, it was like they were targeting specifically the violent criminals, people who had outstanding warrants in their own country, outstanding warrants in America, suspected of crimes. They were going after those guys first. It wasn't like you're a abuela. They went after those dudes, and they got them, and they deported. I think they're past 2,000 now. Yeah, good. Sorry. I don't know. There's probably some like empathetic sociological, well, but think about it, like, think about the world, and he's only trying to get a better life, and who knows anything about the crimes, and obviously, he's fled from a banana republic in the first place, and obviously, we can do all of that. But here's the bottom line. Not supposed to be in the country. Sounds like they're not very cool people. Get them out. Like, I just can't, I cannot, like, there's not enough mental energy, like, you know what I mean, to like try and talk myself out of that position. It just seems to be like that's a good thing. So I watched the deportations and I was like, yeah, fuck it. Promises kept, by the way. Said he was going to do it. Actually did it this time. This wasn't build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He said on day one there will be deportations. Day one, deportations. It's like, well, it's what people voted for. So, anyone that performatively pushes back against that, I feel like I just don't understand. Like, I get it. I understand why you feel you have to do that in academia and stuff, but, like, you know, as long as it's mostly performative. If they were actually impeding ICE operations or facilitating criminals fleeing or whatever it was, then you got a different ballpark altogether, you know. Because it's like, I saw all of the clip from, you know, people were doing the clips from Inglourious Bastards, you know, and it was like, he had an ICE uniform on. He was like, are you harboring, you know, are you harboring people and in the floorboards and doing all of this? And it's like, that isn't what's happening. People have to understand the fundamental difference. That it was like, you know, German citizens and Polish people of Polish extraction that had settled in Germany and were like legally in Germany were being purged. It's not the same. That comparison is really asinine and offensive, frankly. But people are making it. Yeah, you are sheltering enemies of the state, are you not? You know. So, anyway, yeah, I will look more into it, and if there's anything to report, it'll be in an episode of Belly of the Beast, because it's probably not going to be a stream-worthy thing.